Hi guys, JT here, and today I'll be bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle Melee Mayhem Bundle of October 2022 to help you answer the question, should you buy it? If you want to know more about game deals, then feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps the channel out. So let's get into this. And number 1, we have Chivalry 2, a multiplayer hack and slash action game. After the events of Chivalry 1, the bloodthirsty Mason rebels have successfully conquered the lands. The heirs of Agatha have reformed, and now with an even greater army than before, plans to retake their land. Seeing an opportunity in the chaos, Tenosia, the continent's longtime enemy, also invaded. Chivalry 2 features massive battles, tons of gore, and is so much fun. The battles are large in scale, putting you in the middle of a 64-player battle. Like Verdun, if one player leaves the battle, it will be replaced by bots. To keep matches healthy in size and reduce wait times, Chivalry 2 has matchmaking from across PC and console versions, so players on Steam can not only match up to players on Epic Games, but also those playing on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Once you're in the match, you can pick from 4 classes: the Footman, the Vanguard, the Knight, and the Archer. Each class has access to their own weapon sets, abilities, and perks. Each class is then subclassed into 3 other subclasses, totaling to 12 subclasses. As an example, the Knight has access to the Officer subclass, which can heal groups of allies, the Guardian subclass, who is a master of tower shields, or the Crusader subclass, who can deal high damage committed attacks. This mix of classes and subclasses keeps the gameplay somewhat fresh. There's quite a variety of objectives, from pushing and defending payloads till it reaches the objective point, defending a castle or village under siege, performing your own siege on castles and villages, or even just an all-out brawl and team battles, where you can decapitate enemies and slice their arms and legs off, while trying to keep yours intact. Players can also heal themselves or get revived by teammates when downed, even though most of the time you'll most probably get finished off by your enemy. The fighting mechanic will also see you swinging your weapons around, clashing steel with other players, blocking their attacks, and also riposte, and it is very fun and satisfying, watching yourself take on 3 to 4 different enemies, slicing one of the arms off, only to be violently stabbed in the guts by another. You always feel like you have a chance to survive even when outnumbered. This game doesn't take itself too seriously, and it feels more arcadey than the likes of Mordhau as an example. Battles can feel very chaotic with that many players, slicing each other's limbs off in a blanket of gore. You can also pick objects and throw them at enemies, or hey, if you really like a chicken that you see on the side of the road, you can actually bring it to battle just for fun. Really, this game is just chaotic and fun, and that's what the developers are trying to go for. So if you like a less serious sword fighting multiplayer game where you can just jump in, slice a few arms off and leave, then this is a game for you. And number 2, we have Mortal Kombat 11, the 11th installment in the legendary Mortal Kombat fighting game series. The villain Chronicon plans to rewrite time to prevent authoritarian Raiden from upsetting the balance of the universe by beheading Shinnok. Due to time getting rewritten, you get to see the return of classic versions of the game's heroes, like younger versions of your favorite characters alongside the revenant versions seen in Mortal Kombat X. If you have been following the story of Mortal Kombat, then the story is a treat as there's plenty of fan service. For those who haven't been following the story though, it is a pretty good story for a fighting game, similar to Injustice 2. The single player campaign is a treat because there's so much love being put into the cutscenes with great voice acting. Most of you will probably just be here for the fighting though, in which case you'll be glad to hear that the fighting is engaging and highly rewarding. Fights are fluid and fast, and it has that pick up and play ease with tons of creative ways to break neck, smash skulls, and punching your opponents in half, literally. There's definitely plenty of blood and gore staple to the Mortal Kombat series. There are a few things to learn in battle, like the offensive and defensive meters. With the offensive meter, you can use it to amplify certain attacks, making them more powerful, while with the defensive meter, you can spend it on counterattacks and rolls to get you out of sticky situations. Fatal blows also give you the opportunity to come back from a losing match, as these moves can only be executed when your health is low. There's also deep customization available for each fighter. This ranges from skins, gears, entrances, abilities, and AI behavior that you can play around with. You earn these unlockables by playing the game or by exploring the Crypt mode. The Crypt mode is a third-person adventure mode where you play as a generic explorer plundering Shang Tsung's island. Loot is random in Crypt mode, so if you want a specific unlockable, it may take you ages opening loot box after loot box. So if you like a highly violent fighting game filled with dismemberment, or if you're just curious about what all the hype is about with Mortal Kombat, this is a great opportunity to check it out. And number 3, we have Nickelodeon All-Star Battle, a platform fighting game featuring your favorite Nickelodeon characters on the cartoon, beating each other up. Want to put SpongeBob against Invader Zim, or Danny Phantom against Reptar from Rugrats? Look no further than Nickelodeon All-Star Battle. Some may say that it is a Super Smash Bros. Clone, but it does have its own personality with modern and classic Nickelodeon characters, and slightly different movement mechanics like being able to air dash. There are over 20 characters to choose from, with more to come, and they come from different Nick cartoons like SpongeBob SquarePants, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Loud House, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, among others. The visual style is simple and colorful, befitting the characters of the franchise. Stages are also well designed with plenty of cameos from characters in the Nick cartoons like Tommy's granddad. The AI in this game puts up a fair challenge on harder difficulties, in saying that they occasionally goof up by letting players recover even though the AI could have just finished them off. The characters available in this game aren't all main characters, and these characters were chosen based on their higher propensity to potentially get into a fight. Like Helga from Hey Arnold was chosen to be part of the roster instead of Arnold because she's more likely to fight than Arnold, which makes sense. Each character shows off a lot of personality in the way that they move and spar with their opponents. There is great attention to detail as almost every move references an episode from the character's show. However, there isn't really a story in this game that explains why these characters have been put into one universe to fight it out, which is a bit of a shame. In addition, each character has the opportunity to converse with one another in pre-fight dialogue, but these lines are restricted to what each character would say in their shows, rather than actually organically bouncing lines off each other like Mortal Kombat. If you're a fan of crossover platform fighters like Super Smash Bros, and if you like Nickelodeon, then this game might be for you. And number 4 we have Song of Iron, a 2D side-scroller Souls-like action game set in a Nordic-inspired world. You play as an unnamed warrior, whom you can choose to either be male or female, and your village has been burned down by your enemies. You set out on a quest through a stunning world of sweeping vistas, dark forests, and blind caverns. You'll acquire new powers and abilities to help you throughout your adventure, fighting off countless foes from human warriors to orcs to massive trolls. Unlike most games these days, this game keeps it simple by having no level up nor character customization. You can pick up different weapons from hand axes to broadswords. Combat is decent but can feel a bit clunky at times, but once you get used to the rhythm of battle, it is actually pretty fun. You have access to bows to shoot at enemies from a distance or hurl your melee weapon at them. Don't worry about being weaponless though, because enemies will drop their weapons for you to pick up, so there's plenty to keep you stocked. You can also unlock magical powers like enhancing your weapons with fire or lightning, supercharging your speed, and unleashing a powerful stomp. Outside of combat, you'll be finding your way through the levels, and this game doesn't hold your hand, so you're to just explore until you find your way forward. In addition, there are a few puzzles to solve, and once again, this game does not hold your hand. But these puzzles are usually quite simple, like having you drag a big block to access out of reach areas or lighting things up to open doors. There's also quite a bit of platforming to do, and this can be frustrating as the controls aren't the finest in the market. In addition, there are traps that can one-shot you and gaps that will send you straight to oblivion, which could have you throwing your controller at your screen. Song of Iron is a very minimalistic game with a bare-bones story, and it does feel like a Souls-like. So if you like a challenging and short Souls-like 2D side-scroller game, then give this game a try in this bundle. And number 5 we have River City Girls, a beat-em-up fighting game that feels like a classic arcade beat-em-up game from the 90s. You play as Misako and Kyoko. Both of you are in detention when you receive a message on your cell phones, a picture of your boyfriends kidnapped. Being absolutely badass girlfriends, the both of you rampage across the city, attacking any suspicious person on the street looking for answers. There are plenty of people looking for a fight, like your schoolmates who are sent by the principal to stop you from leaving the school, among others. Combat starts out pretty simple, but as you bust more asses and smash more teeth in, you gain experience points, and before you know it, you'll be unlocking various fighting moves and stat boosts. Defeated enemies also drop cash, which you can collect and spend at dojos later across the city. You can buy health restoration items and permanent items that you can place in your inventory to provide various boosts, like giving you a 1% chance of killing an enemy with one hit. Before thinking that you can overpower yourself and become one of the Avengers, you can only equip 2 items at once. As opposed to more traditional 90s beat-em-up games, you can actually freely explore River City and figure out where you're supposed to go next, with some paths only becoming available later in the game. However, backtracking will also respawn enemies, so you aren't just running around empty streets which you have just cleared. Sometimes your enemies will get on their knees and beg for mercy. When this happens, you can recruit them as assist characters to aid you in battle, and you can recruit up to 63 characters, giving it a bit of a collect them all kind of feel. Misako and Kyoko have their own separate movesets and levels, so if you want to see everything, you'll be playing both characters. New Game Plus also packs a few new surprises. This game is also gorgeous with its commitment to the anime style that they are going for. This even includes the music and voice acting, which are all superb. This game also features co-op, so you can jump in with a friend to bust the streets together. So if you like a classic beat 'em up with some really cool fighting moves to unleash upon the goons of River City, I would recommend River City Girls. And number 6 we have Mordhau, another medieval multiplayer hack and slash fighting game in this bundle, but one that is more serious and technical than Chivalry 2. Fighting is about intricate timing, footwork, and psychology. You need to remember and master the dozen different methods of stabbing and slashing, then combining them together in unpredictable ways. Every move has a counter, so you have to think like your opponent, and in turn they will try to think like you. It's a bit like a dance and requires skill, as opposed to the arcade style of Chivalry 2. There are a few game modes to play through, with first being Invasion, in which players push for objectives or defend objectives in a 48 to 64 player lobby. The second being Frontline, which will have both teams pushing for the same objective. The third being Brawl, which will have 16 players killing each other. And finally the fourth being Hoard, where you and several players defend against waves upon waves of AI-controlled enemies, like in Call of Duty Zombies, but with swords and axes. There's also a leaderboard where you battle other players to the death in good old duels, either in 1v1 or 3v3. There are custom game servers where players make their own servers with their own custom game modes and set rules for their various game modes. Mordhau has a pretty in-depth combat that will take time to master, especially since you're facing off against another human player, making battles quite unpredictable. In addition, there's plenty of game mechanics that the game doesn't really tell you, like the way your foot maneuver will change how your weapons move, providing quite a steep learning curve to the game. There's also plenty of gore to behold, like decapitating the head of your opponent before seeing their headless body ragdoll out of your way. If you like a more serious version of Chivalry 2, then I would give Mordhau a try. And number 7 we have Chronicon, a highly addictive fast-paced action RPG that will have you looting and killing hundreds of enemies on screen at a time. Chronicon is a mysterious device that lets you relive the memories of heroes. These memories explain the different acts that you can play through in the game. Different acts will bring about different environments and enemies. You can choose from 4 classes: a melee tank class, a berserker brawler with high DPS, a warden who is essentially a ranged archer class, and a warlock which is a high damage magic user. However, you aren't tied down to just the class that you are playing, as you can build each character the way you like by investing in specific skill trees. You can gain skill points by killing hordes of enemies and leveling up, allowing you to spend them on different skills for your chosen class, which will change the way your character functions in fights. The max level is 100, but the mastery tree can have unlimited upgrades. Gearing is really fun, as this game also features a lot of looting. There are 6 different rarities for items, and you'll encounter a lot of items to loot as you play this game, especially at the end game when you can enter Tinker's Domain, which features a sort of randomized map mode with different modifiers and new difficulties on top of the difficulty that you're already on. This makes each of your run unique, and each run will net you unique loot as well. This is where the addictive game loop comes in, as you play Tinker's Domain over and over again, collecting different loot to power your character. In addition to collecting loot, you can also infuse your gear with gems and enchant them, or even morph them together to form higher tier items. There's definitely a lot you can do in this game with regards to loot. You can also go at it in multiplayer, so you and your friends can kill and loot together as different characters. If you like a highly addictive, fast-paced looter action game, then Chronicon is a great game to get into. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is great with some really fun games, and especially if you like slicing and cutting things, murdering everything in front of you. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yes, and there are 2 10% off coupons available in this bundle, but come on, 10%?